Oh, hi. I'm Peter Zareski of Peter Zareski Plumbing and Heating, and we're here at one of our most recent projects in a commercial building, St. Paul's Church, in the basement where there's going to be a new yoga studio called Calm Yoga. And to ensure that the instructors of this new yoga course are going to be able to shower and take care of business after the class is over, we're going to install a new shower in a bathroom where no shower existed before. This was slightly complicated because we did have to saw cut through 6 inches of reinforced steel concrete, as well as take a lot of the fill away in buckets because this is a lived-in and used-in building by the church, and cleanliness is very important. So this is step 1 in a series of about 3 or 4 steps towards completing that shower. And step 1 would be the trenching, the saw cutting, the removal of the earth. And now we're going to move forward to step 2, which is going to be laying the pipe. Alright, as you can see, we got the bulk of the pipe in the ground. We've done some backfilling, but not too much. We need to make sure that tomorrow, when we get our inspection for our underground plumbing, that the inspector can see some of the top of the pipe so he can verify that we've used the correct materials and that there's the correct pitch and joining methods were used. So tomorrow, after we get our inspection, we will complete backfilling, we will fix the floor, we will fix the walls, and we will install the shower and shower valve, and then generally clean everything up and make it look nice and pretty. So we'll see you tomorrow. Oh, hi. Well, we're back here. We've got our inspection, and as always, the inspector was very pleased with our work. And now the next step is to completely backfill this trench and repair the concrete. And one of the things I like to do before we actually backfill anymore is I like to wet down the existing subsoil here and just make sure that we fill in any possible air pockets that could have been left behind. It's very unlikely that there are any air pockets because we're using some pretty fine-grained sand here, but just to make sure, and as an added benefit, this will help to keep the dust down as we're throwing more dirt in on top of that. So let's go ahead and wet this down a little. Okay, as you can see, we have the concrete repaired, we have cleaned up our work area, and we're making sure that everything is nice and safe for the people and churchgoers that are going to be using this area over the weekend. It's professional and it's courteous to leave your work environment clean when you leave, especially on a weekend when you know you're not going to be around for 2 days. So when we come back on Monday, we're going to be working on repairing that wall, installing the shower valve, and maybe we'll get to some sheetrock, and I hope to see you then. Hey, how you doing? Well, it's Monday and we're back here. Unfortunately, we did have to do some things that aren't going to be up on film because we had to get some processes done so that other contractors could keep working, one of which was the rough installation of the shower valve and the shower itself. But to sum it all up, the shower just basically clicks together, the base is put down first and has to be leveled and connected to the drain in the floor, and the valve has to be tied into the existing water system in the building, and then that's all tested, and then you get to the point where we are now, which is we're going to finish trimming the shower valve, we're going to set the temperature on there to meet our final code requirements, and we're also going to install a shower bar, which is something that the customer has requested. And what the shower bar will do is it will make the shower head a multi-adjustable height, so that can be used by both short and tall people, and people can bathe properly without having to worry about getting their hair wet if they don't want to get their hair wet, or etc. So that's what we're going to do next, and we're going to show a little bit of that on film, and we'll see you in a minute. Okay, here we go with the shower bar. Now what I've already done is I've made some marks using a template that came with the shower bar. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to check it visually and with a level to make sure that it's going to look right once it's actually installed. So that looks pretty good both on a visual and a level. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drill the holes through the actual shower stall wall, which will accommodate the screws that are going to hold this little buddy on. You only get one shot at this, so this is one of those situations where you really have to measure about 6 times and then only drill once, because once you put holes in this thing, if they're wrong, then it's essentially junk and you have to start all over, and you certainly don't want that. So, let's go ahead and drill those holes. These Sterling showers are great for remodeling. One of the things I love about them is how tough they are. This is really a hard material. This is a brand new drill bit, and as you can see, even with some force and some speed, I have to take my time going through because this is just tough as nails. Okay, so we drilled our holes, we drilled some pilots, and now we have our fasteners. And one thing I like to do before I actually put the bar in is run the screws in just to make sure they're going to go in the same holes that we tried for when we drilled them originally. So let's go. Okay, so those are going in nice and straight, which is what we want. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our bar, make sure we have everything aligned properly, and get our screws through. Now, although you can mount these several different ways, one of the great things about doing a remodel like this is we had the chance to actually put some wood backing on the other side of this during the rough construction process. And what that means is that we won't be relying on some fastener that's only going to be gripping this little 1/4-inch thick piece of fiberglass. Instead, we're going to be screwing in right to a solid structure of the wood, which means that somebody can actually pull on this and yank on it pretty good, and it's not going to come off, and more importantly, it's not going to loosen up. Not going to rust and leave any ugly rust marks running down inside the shower. Okay, so that's pretty secure. And then just going to grab our finishing pieces. All these do is just click over these top holes here to hide our access to our screw. And they can be a little bit tricky lining them up, but a little patience. This is a Growy product, and they're pretty much the industry standard. I really like these. They seem to stand the test of time, as well as water. There are some other companies that have similar products out in the market, but these seem to be the ones that everybody likes and are popular. So here, as you can see, this is the part of the bar that will slide. It's going to hold our shower head. Now, we can't go too far forward with this because the builder who's doing this project still has to repair this part of the wall. The other side of the wall was our responsibility, but this side is going to be his. So he's going to need to come up here and finish his sheetrock, and that's what this little metal pipe is left for, so that he knows where to put the hole in the sheetrock. And ultimately, there'll be a chrome pipe here that's going to come out and come down into a flexible hose that's then going to loop back up to our handheld, and that'll be done in the final stages of construction. So the next thing we're going to work on is we're going to finish trimming this valve, and then we're going to get our temperature set so that we can pass our final inspection, even though the builder isn't actually at a point yet where we can put a shower head on here. So we'll see you in 1 minute. Alright, so here we are, we're back now, and we have this pretty much completed. This won't actually be staying because, like I talked about earlier, the builder just has some sheetrock work to do here. So this is only temporary for now, but we need to set the temperature in this shower. In order to do that, we need to have the shower head connected. And we're also going to just show you the basic setup of how this works. This is the handheld shower head, and you know, as you can see, this is adjustable. It can be moved up or down, and the angle of the shower head can also be adjusted forward and backward. And something that I like about this unit, it also makes it easier to clean the shower by having the handheld. And this is a really cost-efficient way to set this up, because what we're using is we're just using the shower arm that comes out of the wall. That's where your shower head would go normally anyways, but we're just going to take our water off of that. Of course, there are some more exotic ways it can be done where you could retain the shower head up here at the top but still have the handheld as a side option. But we're trying to keep this job cost effective, and this is a commercial building and basically a workplace, so it's kind of a no-frills installation. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to set the temperature, and it needs to be set at 112 degrees. That's the maximum allowable by code. And to me personally, I feel like it's kind of lukewarm, but 112 is the actual legal limit, and our inspector will be checking that when he comes back on his final inspection. So let's go ahead and set that temperature. I'm just going to start by turning the hot water on all the way, as hot as it can go. And then we're also going to crank our volume up on our volume selector. Get that hot water coming a little faster. Okay, so this is actually an interesting scenario to have live on film, but basically we let this thing run pretty long, and that's, I know where the water heater is in this building, and it's really not very far from the other side of this wall, so we should be at about maximum temperature by now. And what's happening is we're basically not even getting 100 degrees of hot water coming out of the shower. So what that means is that the water heater is probably set too low. So we're going to have to go explore that and check the actual settings on the hot water heater, which is in a separate part of the building and wasn't part of our job here, and see if that needs to be adjusted, and then we can come back and look at the shower again. Okay, so we're here in the utility room at the building that we're working in, and what we have is actually a pretty residential looking water heater for a commercial building, both just in size and design. But that's fine, because really up until now the only hot water that's been needed in this building is for hand washing, as we're adding the only existing shower in this part of the building. Now that does present a problem, because the water heater, as you can see, is set very low, and this is something that I'm seeing more and more as people kind of fall on hard times or need money, or especially in a place like this, it's essentially a church, and I'm sure they're operating on a very limited budget, and they're trying to save pennies in every way they can. So as you can see, here is the low indicator, and then if you go about not even a full 2 notches, that's where they have it set. And as you can see, there's a triangle designation here, and that is pretty much the standard setting a lot of people use, and that represents about 120 degrees. And then this next one up represents 130 degrees. Now, really the best place for a water heater to be set is 130 degrees, and the reason for that is that there is a specific type of bacteria that causes a specific type of disease called Legionnaire's disease that will thrive in the temperature zone between 115 and about 121 degrees. Legionnaire's disease is something that you catch through inhaling a vapor or a mist while you're taking a shower, and the bacteria actually starts its life process and growth in the water heater. So we need to make sure that that temperature is set high enough so that that Legionnaire's disease can't breed in the water heater, and also so that we can meet our minimum code temperatures both at the faucets and at the shower.